My family abandoned me at the hospital when I lost my legs in Iraq. Years later, they needed my military benefits. Welcome, family. Please subscribe if you enjoy stories like this. Say hello in the comments and tell us your city or country. With that, let's continue our story. The beeping of hospital machines filled the sterile silence as I stared at my phone screen. 3 weeks. 3 weeks since the IED blast in Fallujah took my legs and shattered my world. 3 weeks since I'd been airlifted to Walter Reed, and my family had promised they'd be on the next flight. Nana, Mama had sobbed into the phone. Your daddy's getting time off work and we'll drive down tonight. That was 21 days ago. My phone buzzed with another text from my sister Tanya. Girl, you know how crazy things been. Mama's dealing with her diabetes and Terry got arrested again. We trying to get down there but money tight right now. Money tight. Always the excuse. I scrolled through weeks of messages, each one promising tomorrow, next week, as soon as we can. Meanwhile, my battle buddy Eric's family had been here every single day since his injury. His mother slept in the chair beside his bed, his father brought home-cooked meals, and his little sister made him laugh despite his shattered arm. Your folks coming today? Eric asked, knowing the answer but trying to keep hope alive in my eyes. I shook my head, swallowing the lump in my throat. Something came up again. The truth hit me like shrapnel. I was alone. Completely, utterly alone. The family that had gladly accepted my military paychecks when times were tough suddenly couldn't afford a tank of gas to see their daughter who'd nearly died serving her country. My phone rang. Mama's number. Maybe today would be different. Nana? Baby, I got some bad news. The car broke down again and your cousin Denise needs us to watch the kids because she got evicted. Mama's voice crackled through the phone. I promise we'll get there next week. How you doing, baby? They treating you good? I stared at the ceiling, watching the fluorescent lights flicker. 24 days now. I'm learning to use a wheelchair, Mama. The doctors say I'm healing well, but I need surgery on my left leg. What's left of it? Oh, honey, that's good. Real good. Listen, I hate to ask, but since you ain't using your disability money right now, Terry got himself in trouble again and we need bail money. The words hit me like a physical blow. My 20-year-old brother, who'd never held a job longer than 2 months, needed my military disability benefits for bail money. While I lay here learning to navigate life without legs, wondering if I'd ever walk again. How much? I whispered. Just 2,000. I know it's a lot, but you know family comes first. Family comes first. The irony burned in my chest. Mama, I need that money for medical equipment, for therapy, for... Girl, don't be selfish. You in that fancy hospital getting everything for free. Terry is sitting in a cell. I hung up. For the first time in my 25 years, I hung up on my mother. Eric rolled his wheelchair over. You good, sis. My brother needs bail money, I said flatly. $2,000. They can't come see me, but they can ask for money. Damn, Eric shook his head. That's cold. I transferred the money that afternoon. Not because I wanted to, but because saying no to family had been beaten out of me since childhood. But as I watched that number disappear from my account, something else disappeared too. The last thread of hope that they actually cared. Physical therapy was hell. Not just the pain, though learning to balance on prosthetics felt like standing on knives. But the loneliness. Every other patient had family cheering them on. Mrs. Sears's grandson drew pictures of his abuela walking. Staff Sergeant Williams' wife counted every step with him. Me. I had voicemails. Nana girl, Terry is out. Thank you so much. We gon' pay you back real soon. How you doing? Call me back. I deleted it without responding. My therapist, Dr. Grace Madison, noticed my isolation. You're pushing yourself hard. Maybe too hard. When's your family visiting? They're not. The words came out sharper than intended. I'm sorry. That must be incredibly difficult. My brother's legal troubles were more important than my medical recovery, I said, focusing on the parallel bars. Apparently, I'm being selfish expecting them to visit their daughter who lost her legs in combat. Dr. Madison's expression softened. Nana, can I share something with you? I've worked with hundreds of wounded warriors. The ones who recover best aren't necessarily those with the most family support. They're the ones who find their own strength. Easy to say when you have both legs. You're right. It is easy to say. But you know what's not easy? What you're doing right now. Taking another step when everything hurts. That's warrior strength. I managed 3 more steps before collapsing into the wheelchair, sweat dripping down my face. In the mirror across the room, I saw a stranger, scarred, hollow-eyed, abandoned. But still breathing. Still fighting. That evening, I called Eric's family. Mrs. McLeod? This is Nana. I was wondering, could you teach me how to be strong without them? Her voice broke. Oh honey. You already are. Pass the potatoes, Nana, Mr. McLeod said, treating me like I'd been part of their family forever. It was Thanksgiving 8 months after the blast. The McLeods had adopted me after Eric mentioned I'd be spending the holiday alone in my new apartment. The government had provided a decent place near the VA hospital, but it echoed with solitude. So, tell me about this nonprofit you're starting, Mrs. McLeod said, loading my plate with turkey. It's called Second Chances, I explained. For homeless veterans. I want to provide temporary housing, job training, medical support. Too many of our brothers and sisters are sleeping on streets while people like my family. I caught myself. People like your family what? Eric's little sister Connie asked innocently. People who never served look down on them, I finished diplomatically. But Eric's grandmother, Miss Reby, wasn't fooled. At 86, she'd raised 5 children through segregation and seen too much to be naive. Baby girl, you can say it. Your family ain't worth the powder to blow them to hell. Miss Reby. Mrs. McLeod scolded, but she was smiling. What? That girl been sendin' money home while they couldn't be bothered to visit her in the hospital. Now she want to help strangers while her own blood treats her like an ATM. I call it like I see it. The table went quiet. I'd never explicitly told them about the money, but Miss Reby had raised 8 children. She recognized a pattern. How much? Eric asked quietly. Doesn't matter, I said quickly. 37,000, I whispered. Over 2 years. Bail money, rent, utilities, groceries, medical bills, car repairs. Every time they called, I sent it. The silence stretched longer. Connie, only 12, spoke first. That's enough to buy a house. Or fund a nonprofit that actually helps people, Mr. McLeod added grimly. For the first time since losing my legs, I felt truly seen. Not as a disability check or an inconvenience, but as a person worthy of respect. Veterans Resource Center, Nana speaking. Girl, we've been trying to reach you for weeks. Your phone going straight to voicemail. Tanya's voice hadn't changed, still that entitled whine that expected immediate attention. I'd been screening their calls for 6 months while building my nonprofit. I've been busy. What do you need? Damn, why you sound like that? Look, Mama's in the hospital. Her diabetes acting up and the bills piling up. We need help. I looked around my office. Formerly an abandoned warehouse I'd converted into a shelter. 12 veterans currently called it home, including Tommy, a Vietnam vet who'd been living under a bridge for 15 years. How much? 15,000. I know it sounds like a lot, but you the only one in the family doing good. Doing good. Like my success was luck instead of rising at 5 a.m. for physical therapy, working 16-hour days to build something meaningful, and pushing through pain they couldn't imagine. Tanya, when's the last time any of you visited me? What? Girl, we've been meaning to. When's the last time you called to ask how I'm doing? Not what money I can send, but how I'm actually doing. Silence. I'll send 2,000 for Mama's immediate medical needs. That's it. 2,000? Nana, we need 15. You got all that military money. That military money pays for this shelter. It feeds 12 homeless veterans. It funds job training and medical care for people society forgot. What about family? The question hung in the air like smoke. What about family? What about the family that disappeared when I needed them most? What about the family that saw me as nothing but a resource to exploit? I'm taking care of family, Tanya. My real family. The people who've earned it. I hung up before she could respond. Nana Johnson? I looked up from the budget spreadsheets to see my cousin Denise standing in my office doorway. The same Denise whose eviction had prevented my family from visiting me in the hospital 2 years ago. Denise? What are you doing here? She looked around the shelter with obvious surprise. The main floor buzzed with activity. Veterans in job training classes. Others preparing meals in the communal kitchen. Children from nearby families playing in the supervised area we'd added last month. Girl, I had no idea you was running something like this. Mama said you had some little charity thing, but this? She gestured around. This is serious business. 28 residents now, I said cautiously. We've helped 43 veterans find permanent housing and employment in the past year. That's beautiful, cuz. Real beautiful. She sat down uninvited. Look, I'll be straight with you. Mama's situation worse than Tanya told you. She might lose the house. And Terry. She shook her head. He's in trouble again. Real trouble this time. How much? The question had become automatic. 50,000. Actually laughed. $50,000. I know it's a lot, but between Mama's medical bills and Terry's legal fees. Legal fees for what? Denise looked uncomfortable. He got caught dealing again. But it's different this time, Nana. He could go to prison for years. Terry, 22 years old, never held a job, never contributed to the family beyond creating problems. The same Terry whose bail money had cost me my first opportunity to say no. And what happens after I pay 50,000? Next year it'll be 100,000? When does it stop? Family don't stop, Nana. You're right, I said, standing up. Family doesn't stop. Which is why I'm pouring everything into this place, into these veterans who've become my real family. Her expression hardened. You changed, girl. That war messed with your head. The war took my legs. My family took my heart. The call came at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Mama's voice, slurred and desperate. Nana, baby, you gotta help us. They foreclosing on the house next week. 50 years we been in this house and they taking it. Please, baby. We your family. I sat up in bed, phantom pain shooting through my missing limbs. Mama, are you drunk? I ain't drunk. I'm desperate. Your daddy's been working double shifts, but it ain't enough. Terry can't work with his record and Tanya's hours got cut. You the only one who can save us. How much do you need? 80,000. I know it's $80,000. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Mama, do you know what I could do with $80,000? I could expand the shelter. I could add a medical clinic. I could house 50 more veterans. What about your own blood? What about it? When I was bleeding my own blood in a hospital bed, where were you? When I was learning to walk again, where were you? When I was building this life from nothing, where were you? That's different. No, Mama. It's not different. You taught me that actions matter more than words. Your actions told me exactly where I stand in your priorities. Don't talk to your mother like that. Then don't call your daughter like an A-team. The line went quiet. For 30 seconds we both breathed heavily into our phones. So you just gone let us lose everything? She whispered. You already lost the only thing that mattered, Mama. You lost me. I hung up and turned off my phone. Outside my window, the city slept peacefully, unaware that somewhere in the darkness, a family was finally learning that actions have consequences. Tommy knocked on my door an hour later. Boss lady? You okay? Heard some noise. I'm fine, Tommy. Just making some overdue decisions. Miss Johnson, there's been a development in your case. My lawyer, Patricia Morris, looked serious as she spread documents across my desk. It had been 3 months since Mama's foreclosure call, 3 months of blessed silence from my family. What kind of development? Your grandmother's estate has been settled. Apparently, she left a will that was discovered in her safety deposit box after the bank was finally notified of her death. Grandmama Pearl. She died 8 months ago, but my family hadn't even told me about the funeral. I'd found out through a mutual church friend's Facebook post. She left me something? Patricia smiled. Miss Johnson, your grandmother left you everything. The house, her savings, her life insurance policy. The total value is approximately $450,000. The world tilted. Grandmama Pearl had always been the family's anchor, the one who held everyone together. And she'd left it all to me, the granddaughter they'd considered selfish. Why me? I whispered. Patricia pulled out a handwritten letter. She left this for you. My hands shook as I read Grandmama's familiar script. My dearest Nana, if you're reading this, then I'm home with Jesus and my babies. I want you to know that your mama called me every day you was in that hospital, crying about how she couldn't get to you. But baby, she never once asked me for money to make that trip. She asked for money for Terry, for bills, for everything except seeing about her hurt child. That told me everything I needed to know. You've been taking care of everybody while nobody took care of you. This money is for you, baby girl. Don't you give it to them. Build something beautiful with it. Make me proud. Love always, Grandmama Pearl. I sobbed until my chest hurt. Even from the grave, Grandmama was protecting me. There's more, Patricia said gently. Your family has been calling our office. They know about the inheritance. Of course they did. What do they want? To contest the will. They claim your grandmother wasn't of sound mind when she wrote it. The audacity was breathtaking but not surprising. What are our chances? Excellent. The will is ironclad and we have medical records proving she was completely lucid. But be prepared, Miss Johnson. This is going to get ugly. I looked out my office window at the veterans in our courtyard, playing basketball on the court we'd installed last month. Tommy was teaching a young Iraq veteran how to shoot free throws. These were my people now. Let it get ugly, I said. I'm ready. They showed up at the shelter on a Thursday afternoon. All of them. Mama, Daddy, Tanya, Terry out on bail again, Denise and 3 cousins I barely knew. Like a delegation of entitlement. You changed the locks on Grandmama's house, Mama said without preamble. It's my house now, I replied, not getting up from my desk. The volunteers and residents had noticed the crowd and were hovering protectively nearby. Tommy in particular looked ready for war. At 67 he'd survived Vietnam and 15 years on the streets. He could smell predators. That house been in our family for 50 years, Daddy said. You can't just take it. I didn't take anything. Grandmama left it to me. She was confused, Tanya interjected. Old people get funny ideas. Family property should stay in the family. I am family, I said quietly. Or at least I thought I was. Until I needed you. Terry, looking thin and jumpy from whatever he'd been using, stepped forward. Nana, you trippin'. We family. Family helps family. Where was that energy when I was learning to walk again? I stood up, my prosthetics clicking against the floor. Where was that family loyalty when I was fighting to rebuild my life? We couldn't afford to come see you, Mama said weakly. But you could afford bail money. Multiple times. Tommy moved closer. Everything all right here, boss lady? It's fine, Tommy. Just some people who've lost their way. Lost our way. Tanya's voice rose. Girl, you think you better than us now? You think this little charity makes you special? This little charity has housed 97 veterans in 2 years. It's provided job training for over 200 people. It's saved lives. What about our lives? Mama demanded. What about your own mother? The question that had haunted me for months. What about my mother? What about the woman who'd raised me, who'd sacrificed for me, who'd loved me? Mama, I said softly, I would have given you everything. Everything I had, everything I earned, everything I inherited. All you had to do was love me when I needed it most. We do love you. No. The word came out harder than I intended. Love isn't asking for money every month. Love isn't skipping your daughter's recovery because something else is more convenient. Love isn't showing up only when there's an inheritance to fight over. The silence stretched until Terry exploded. So you just gone keep everything? $400,000 and you won't share none of it. You're right, Terry. I'm not sharing any of it with you. I'm sharing all of it with people who've earned it. I walked to the window overlooking our courtyard. 3 new residents had arrived yesterday. A female veteran with 2 small children, a Vietnam vet with untreated PTSD, and a young man whose war injuries had left him addicted to pain medication. This is what Grandmama's money is buying. Hope, healing, second chances for people society threw away. I turned back to face them. The same second chances I gave all of you over and over until I had nothing left to give. So that's it? Daddy asked. You just writing us off? No, Daddy. You wrote me off 2 years ago. I'm just finally accepting it. Channel 7 News wants to do a story about the shelter. My assistant Terry, not my brother but Terry Williams, a Navy veteran, told me excitedly. What kind of story? Human interest piece about innovative veteran support programs. They heard about your family trying to contest the will and want to explore how you're using the inheritance instead. I groaned. The story's getting out? Boss lady, this is good publicity. People need to know what you're doing here. He was right, but the attention felt overwhelming. 3 weeks since the confrontation, and the shelter had received dozens of calls from reporters, donors, and other veterans organizations wanting partnerships. The story aired on a Wednesday evening. I watched from the community room with 30 residents and staff members, everyone crowded onto our donated couches. Nana Johnson lost both legs serving her country in Iraq, the reporter began. When she needed her family most, they were absent. But when they needed her inheritance money most, they appeared. Her response: building the largest veteran support facility in the state. The camera panned across our facilities. The dormitory, the job training center, the childcare area, the community garden Tommy had started. Some might say Johnson is being vindictive, cutting off family members who are struggling financially. But residents here see it differently. Tommy appeared on screen, dignified in his donated suit. Miss Johnson saved my life. I was living under a bridge for 15 years and she gave me hope. Her family took from her when she had nothing. She gives to us when we have nothing. That's the difference between family and real family. My phone started ringing immediately. Text messages poured in. Most were supportive, but a few weren't. You're heartless for abandoning your family. Blood is thicker than water. Your grandmother is rolling in her grave. But then other messages arrived. I'm a veteran who went through similar family abandonment. Thank you for showing another way. My daughter is deployed overseas and knowing places like yours exist gives me peace. Enclosed is a $500 donation. Keep fighting for our heroes. By midnight, we'd received over $15,000 in unsolicited donations and 47 applications from veterans needing housing. You okay with all this attention? Terry Williams asked. I looked around the community room. Mrs. Sears was helping her 3 grandchildren with homework while her veteran son attended our evening job training class. 2 Iraq veterans were playing chess in the corner. A Vietnam vet was reading to children in our library corner. Yeah, I said. I'm okay with it. Your brother was arrested again. Patricia Morris delivered the news during our monthly legal review. 6 months had passed since the inheritance battle ended, in my favor as expected. What this time? Armed robbery. He and 2 other men robbed a convenience store. The owner was shot but survived. I felt nothing. Not sadness, not anger, not even disappointment. Just nothing. Your mother called our office. She wants you to pay for his legal defense. How much? $200,000 for a top criminal defense attorney. $200,000. The exact amount I just allocated to expand our mental health services program. What did you tell her? That all communication needs to go through this office, and that you're not obligated to provide financial support for family members' legal troubles. I stared out the window at our newest addition, a transitional housing complex for veterans with families. Grandmama's inheritance had made it possible. Patricia, I want you to send them a letter. Official letterhead, legal language, the whole thing. What should it say? I thought about Terry, 23 now and facing serious prison time. I thought about Mama, probably crying and desperate, not understanding how her baby boy had gotten so lost. I thought about Daddy working double shifts to support a son who'd never been worth the investment. Tell them that Nana Johnson died in a hospital room 3 years ago, when her family decided that everything else was more important than being there. The woman they're trying to reach doesn't exist anymore. Patricia looked uncomfortable. That's quite harsh. Is it? Or is it honest? Your call. But are you sure you won't regret this later? I walked to my wall of photos. Dozens of pictures of veterans who'd graduated from our programs. Timothy, who'd been homeless for 8 years and now managed a restaurant. Layla, who'd overcome addiction and just finished nursing school. Janet, who'd arrived with 2 children and no hope and now ran our childcare program. Patricia, what's my biggest regret? I don't know. That I waited so long to choose myself. That I gave so much to people who saw me as nothing but a source of money. That I almost let their version of family destroy the real family I was meant to build. She nodded slowly. I'll draft the letter. Make it clear. No money, no contact, no relationship. They made their choices. Now I'm making mine. Miss Johnson, you have visitors. I looked up from the grant applications I was reviewing to see 2 teenagers standing nervously in my doorway. The girl looked familiar. Something about her eyes. Can I help you? I'm Connie, the girl said. Connie Johnson. And this is my brother Kevin. We're Terry's kids. My breath caught. Terry had children? Our mama sent us, Kevin added. He looked about 16, Connie maybe 14. She said you were our daddy's sister and maybe you could help. Help with what? Connie pulled out a wrinkled envelope. Daddy's in prison now. Mama lost the apartment because she couldn't work and take care of us. We've been staying with different people, but we're about to be homeless, Kevin finished. Mama said family helps family, and you're the only family we got left. I studied their faces. Terry's eyes, but something else. Something desperate and genuine that he'd never possessed. How old are you two? I'm 16, she's 14, Kevin said. We ain't asking for money. We just need a place to stay until Mama gets back on her feet. What about your grandmother? My mother. Connie looked down. She said she can't take us. Her house too small and she dealing with her own problems. Of course she did. When it came to actually caring for family, not just taking money from them, suddenly there wasn't room. Have you eaten today? I asked. They shook their heads. Come on. Let's get you fed and then we'll figure this out. I led them to our community dining room. As they ate like they hadn't seen food in days, I watched their faces. These children hadn't chosen their father. They were victims of his choices, just like I'd been a victim of my family's choices. Miss Johnson, Connie said quietly. Are you really our aunt? Biologically, yes. But not really? Smart girl. What do you mean? Mama told us you cut off the whole family. Said you got money and turned your back on everybody. Is that what you think? Kevin shrugged. I think grown folks mess up and kids pay for it. We ain't asking you to take care of our daddy or fix his problems. We just need help. And if I help you, what happens when your father gets out of prison and wants money? Then we tell him no, Connie said firmly. We learned from watching him destroy everything. We don't want to be like that. I saw something in their eyes that I'd never seen in Terry's. Accountability. Responsibility. Hope. There's a family program here. Transitional housing for veterans' families, but we make exceptions for situations like yours. You'd have your own apartment, but you'd follow our rules. School attendance, community service, no drugs, no gangs, no criminal activity. They nodded eagerly. And understand this. I'm not doing this because Terry is your father. I'm doing this because you're children who need help, and helping children is what we do here. Yes, ma'am, they said in unison. As I walked them to the family housing coordinator, I realized something profound. I hadn't abandoned family. I'd finally learned to choose the right one. 5 years after losing my legs, I sat in my office reading a letter that had arrived with no return address. The handwriting was shaky, unfamiliar. Dear Nana, you don't know me, but I know your story. My name is Robert Wagner and I'm dying. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. I got maybe 2 months left. I've been reading about your shelter in the papers and I want you to know something before I go. Your family called me 6 months ago. I'm a private investigator and they hired me to find dirt on you. They wanted to prove you was stealing money from veterans or running some kind of scam. They figured if they could discredit you, they could get some of that inheritance money. I took their money, $1,000 they scraped together, and I investigated. You want to know what I found? Nothing. Not a damn thing. Your books are clean. Every penny goes where it's supposed to go. You take a salary smaller than most fast food managers make. You donated your own car to the shelter and take the bus to work. You gave up your apartment and live in a 1-bedroom unit in the shelter so more veterans could have housing. Miss Johnson, in 30 years of investigating people, I never seen someone so clean. So honest. So genuinely good. Your family was disappointed, but I wasn't surprised. I seen your type before. People who've been hurt so bad they turn it into helping others. I'm dying alone because I spent my life digging up dirt on good people for bad people. But before I go, I wanted you to know. Your family spent their last $1,000 trying to destroy you, and all they proved was how goddamn beautiful you are. Keep doing what you're doing. The world needs more people like you and fewer people like me. Robert Wagner. I read the letter 3 times before setting it down. $1,000. Their last $1,000. Money that could have fed them, housed them, helped them, spent trying to ruin me. Connie knocked on my door. Now 19 and in college on a full scholarship, she split her time between classes and working at the shelter. Aunt Nana, you okay? You look upset. I handed her the letter. She read it silently, her expression growing darker with each paragraph. They hired someone to investigate you, she whispered. With their last money? Apparently. Connie sat down heavily. Kevin and I always wondered why Grandmama completely stopped talking to us. Now we know. They were planning this whole thing. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Are you kidding? Connie's voice strengthened. I'm glad I found out. It makes it easier to understand why you made the choices you did. She looked around my small office. The same office where I'd built a program that had now housed over 300 veterans, provided job training for nearly 1,000 people, and become a model for similar programs across 3 states. Aunt Nana, can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever regret it? Cutting them off completely? I thought about Terry now serving 15 years for armed robbery. About Mama who'd lost her house anyway and now lived in a subsidized senior apartment. About Daddy who'd stopped working and spent his days bitter and broken. About Tanya still calling other family members asking for money and talking about how her selfish sister had millions of dollars. Connie, you know what I regret? What? That I spent 25 years thinking family was about blood. That I wasted so much time and money trying to earn love from people who were incapable of giving it. I stood up and walked to my window. In the courtyard below, Tommy was teaching a new group of residents how to garden. Mrs. Sears was helping a young veteran's wife with job applications. Terry Williams was leading a support group for combat PTSD. This is my family now, I said. People who chose to be here. People who appreciate sacrifice instead of exploiting it. People who understand that love is action, not just words. Connie joined me at the window. They're lucky to have you. No, baby girl. I'm lucky to have them. And I'm lucky to have you and Kevin too. She hugged me tightly. We love you, Aunt Nana. For real love. Not money love. As the sun set over the shelter, I thought about Robert Wagner's letter. How my family's final attempt to hurt me had instead given me the greatest gift. Absolute confirmation that I'd made the right choice. Somewhere across town they were probably still plotting, still scheming, still believing that I owed them something. But I'd learned the most important lesson of my life. You don't owe loyalty to people who've never shown you any. You owe loyalty to the family you choose. The family that chooses you back. And as I watched my real family, these broken warriors who'd become whole, these forgotten souls who'd found purpose, I knew that losing my legs in Iraq had been the beginning of finding my soul. My phone buzzed with a text from Kevin away at trade school. Aunt Kay just wanted to say thank you for teaching us what real family looks like. Love you. I smiled, deleted Robert Wagner's letter, and went downstairs to join my family for dinner. The family I'd built from nothing with everything I had left to give. This was what healing looked like. This was what choosing yourself looked like. This was what real family looked like.